Happy Saturday.
On this week's audio-only ear biscuit. Biscuit. I feel like I should do like radio-type things when I had headphones on.
You should.
Biscuit. You're listening to ear biscuit. Biscuit.
Can you complete the thought, though?
We have special guest Tyler Oakley.
Tyler is a vlogger, YouTube personality extraordinaire. You know who Tyler is. Prolific tweeter, and social media artist.
Guru, you might say.
I don't know if he calls himself social media artist, but the dude's tweeting all the time. One of the first things we talked to him about in the podcast is that moment where you have to put your phone on airplane mode, which I call airport mode by accident, when the plane's going to take off. Because at the beginning of the podcast, we put our phones in airport mode because we don't want to be distracted during this in-depth, candid conversation that we have with these people. That cannot be compromised by the buzzing of the thigh.
Airport
the thigh buzz of the phone. You're not even listening to me. You're just over there.
Why do you call it airport mode? Did you ever think that, like...
Because I'm so smart, I'm stupid.
It doesn't matter what the status of your phone at the airport doesn't matter.
I know
the
this.
Airplane. But, you know, the question is, does it really matter if you leave your phone on?
Why is there airplane mode? Why you got to turn it off? What's the big deal?
Well, I've done some research, and I have come up with the facts about this. Now, first of all,
you've come up with the facts.
The myth. Yeah, I discovered the facts about this.
He's making this up.
You're not. The Mythbusters over on Discovery Channel, those guys looked into this, and they busted the myth that you can cause a plane to crash by being on your phone. And they said that actually the reason that the FAA does not want you, not the FFA, which is the Future Farmers of America, they don't care. The farmers don't care.
They don't want you to be
sidebar
texting and tractoring them.
Right. But the FAA, Federal Aviation Administration, I think that's what it's called, they say the reason they've outlawed that is because when you're up in the air, you are accessing, when you get on your phone, you're accessing multiple towers, and they're worried that the people on planes will tie up traffic in cell phone towers. When you're on the ground, for whatever reason, because of lines of sight, you usually are operating at one tower at a time, but when you're up there and you have all these lines of sight to multiple towers, you're taking up traffic on cell phone towers. That's what the Mythbusters said. Now, to counteract that,
I thought it was just, there's probably practical things too that, you know, when you're sitting there getting buckled up and you're supposed to be listening to the instructions before you take off, you shouldn't be distracted. Right. You need to know how to use that personal flotation device. Flotation device.
No one has talked about a flotation device. No one has said anything about that in the research that I've looked at. But what they have said is that there are actually a number of incidences in which people's phones have interfered with flight communications. Now, it hasn't caused any flights to crash, but there are like 83 instances in over 280 flights that they looked at, 280,000 flights that they looked at, where they said that pilots reported interference, and when people were told to cut off their phones or laptops, that the interference went away.
I mean, sure, even when we're using wireless mics here, when we're doing something, whoever's listening in, the sound guy, can tell if our phones are still on.
It's a sound guy.
Because there's interference. So, but is that really enough to say, yeah, we should continue keep turning our phones off, or should we just say, you know what, I'm going to be the sneaky, and I'm going to keep my phone on.
You don't have to worry about being the sneaky, and keeping your phone on anymore. Really? Because they've just announced that they are going to relax these standards.
The FAA?
Yes, and you are going to be able to keep your phone on from gate to gate. They're going to announce this soon. Now, they said that they're still going to require you to put the phone into airplane mode. Airport mode doesn't exist, but airplane mode, you'll have to be required to put in airplane mode before 10,000 feet. But then when you get up to 10,000 feet, you can go in any mode you want.
You can just talk to people on the phone?
And you can talk to people on the phone. That is coming. That is on the way, because they figure that we're kind of overreacting about this.
And you'll also be able to smoke again.
Yeah, and that's the big thing I'm looking
really
forward
matters.
to. Right, smoking on a plane.
It's just, that's such a bizarre thing to think about, which we, you know, you and I can just talk about that later.
Yeah, right.
We don't need to keep these people here to talk about cigarettes on a plane.
What we will do for
which
you,
is a great name for a movie.
Is maybe a commercial. We're going to play for you an excerpt of our conversation with Tyler Oakley in order to entice you to go and listen to the entire podcast.
And then please go over to iTunes and leave a review. Those help us move up in the rankings. As far as I understand.
Review.
Yeah, leave a
favorable
I don't care.
review.
Just leave an honest review on iTunes whenever you listen to it that way. Or if you're on SoundCloud, leave us a comment. We read those.
Mm-hmm.
It was like terrible. Like I was really overweight at the beginning. And then I remember, and I don't know if my sense of time is like off, but it felt like within like a month period, I felt like I lost like 30 pounds.
Oh, wow.
Like I stopped eating.
And
like,
this was like 6th grade?
This was 7th grade.
7th grade.
Mm-hmm.
And do you remember the day that you made that choice to
I don't
not
remember
eat,
the start.
How does that work?
I don't remember the start, but I remember the progress because I remember I had been going to the gym. I had been like obsessively working really hard during gym class. And even though that sounds ridiculous, like I would push myself in gym class. And I had joined the track team. I went to a separate gym before school and I had gym class 6 hour. So I had 2 workouts a day and then track after school and I didn't eat in between.
Oh, wow.
So like there were times when I would actually like I remember I fainted once in choir, and my choir teacher like talked to my parents about like what was going on, and I remember one day really specifically like I was in science class and they were doing roll call, I guess, or whatever you would call it, attendance, and my science teacher didn't even like recognize me at first, and I realized like, oh, this is like doing something, like all my working out.
Okay, so click on over to iTunes or SoundCloud and enjoy the biscuit while you do something else with your eyes.
But remember, when you're listening to ear biscuits, keep your phone in airport mode.